Deep in the black emptiness between the stars where no light dared to stay too long, the Xarath Empire's mighty fleet waited. 50 warships hung in perfect formation, silent and still, like predators hiding in the dark. Their hulls were smooth and black, absorbing every bit of light. No sound came from their engines. No glow came from their windows. They were ghosts made of metal and fear. Captain Vexer stood on the bridge of the flagship Dominator. He was tall, with pale green skin and sharp yellow eyes that never blinked when he was thinking. His officers stood around him in a half circle, quiet, waiting for orders. Everyone knew the rule: speak only when the captain asks. For 3 long cycles they had patrolled this empty stretch of space. The Xarath ruled half the galaxy because they crushed anything that moved. Small races, big races, it did not matter. If you were not Xarath, you paid tribute or you disappeared. This area was supposed to be empty. No colonies, no trade routes, just silence. Then the scanner beeped. It was a soft sound, almost shy. One young officer looked at his screen and froze. Captain, contact. Single ship. Unknown signature. Distance, 4 light minutes. Vexer turned slowly. One ship? Yes, sir. No escort, no signals. It's just sitting there. The bridge became even quieter. Vexer walked to the main screen. A faint red dot appeared in the middle of the black void. 1 dot. Alone. He smiled, showing sharp teeth. Easy pickings, he said. Probably some lost merchant or a broken scout. We will take its cargo and be done by next cycle. But the officer next to him did not smile. He zoomed in on the data. Sir, the mass is wrong. Too heavy for a merchant. Too fast for a scout. And its energy reading, it's high, very high. Vexer waved a hand. Run a deep scan, I want to know everything before we move in. The scanner hummed again. Bright beams shot out from the Dominator, invisible fingers reaching across the void. The data came back in seconds. Numbers scrolled fast on every screen. Hull thickness, impossible. Armor layers, unknown material. Power core, stronger than any Xarath cruiser. Weapons ports, hidden but many. Vexer's smile slowly faded. One officer whispered, Captain, this does not look like any race we know. Vexer stared at the red dot. The unknown ship had not moved, it had not run. It had not even tried to hide. It just waited, calm and cold, like it knew they were watching. And for the first time in many years, Captain Vexer felt something strange crawl up his spine. Doubt. The bridge of the Dominator lit up with cold blue light as the deep scan began. Captain Vexer crossed his arms and stared at the main screen. The scanning beams, thin and sharp like needles, stabbed across the void and locked onto the strange ship. Data flooded in within seconds. Numbers, graphs, and strange symbols raced across every display. At first the officers read in silence. Then one of them, a thin, nervous technician named Krell, made a small choking sound. He pointed at his screen. Captain, look at the hull density. Vexer leaned closer. The numbers were wrong. The alien ship's outer skin was thicker than 3 layers of Xarath battle plating stacked together. Scans showed strange layers inside, something that looked like liquid metal moving under the surface. No weak points, no obvious joints, just smooth, endless strength. Power output, Krell continued, voice shaking a little. The core is putting out more energy than our entire forward cruiser wing, but there is no heat leak, no radiation trail. It's clean. Too clean. Vexer felt the first real twist in his stomach. He had seen powerful ships before. Ancient relics, pirate kings, rebel fleets. None of them hid their strength like this. This ship was not bragging. It was waiting. Run it again, he ordered. His voice came out harder than he meant. Full spectrum, triple check. The crew hurried. New beams fired. More data poured in. Same results. Same impossible numbers. One screen even showed faint outlines of weapons ports, dozens of them, folded and hidden so perfectly that normal scans missed them completely. Rail accelerators, missile tubes, something that looked like a spinal-mounted cannon longer than most Xarath frigates. A senior officer, Zara, stepped forward. She never spoke unless it mattered. Captain, I have seen every major fleet profile in the archive. This matches nothing, not the Krill, not the Vorn, not even the old machine ruins. Vexor turned to her. Then what is it? Zara hesitated. There is one very old file, very short, marked primitive species, observe only. It shows basic drawings, crude metal boxes with chemical rockets, slow, weak, soft-skinned. The name is human. A few officers laughed nervously. Vexor did not. He remembered the briefing years ago. Humans were new to space. Barely crawled out of their single wet planet. They built small ships. They died fast in real fights. They were not a threat. But this ship was not small. It was not crude. And it still had not moved. Vexor stared at the red dot on the screen. It sat there like it owned the void, like it knew they were afraid. Impossible, he muttered. Yet the doubt grew louder inside him. What if the old file was wrong? What if the humans had changed? Captain Vexor gripped the edge of the command table so hard his claws left tiny marks in the metal. The second scan had ended, but the numbers refused to change. They stared back at him like a challenge. He turned to the tactical officer. Send 3 scouts, close range, visual only. I want eyes on this thing. 3 small arrow-shaped scout ships detached from the Dominator and accelerated smoothly into the dark. Their pilots were the best, young, fearless, trained to die without hesitation if needed. On the bridge, everyone watched the live feed. The red dot grew larger, sharper. Details appeared. The unknown ship was not sleek like Xarath vessels. It looked brutal. Boxy in places, rounded in others, covered in ugly welds and thick plates. No glowing energy fins, no elegant curves, just raw, heavy purpose. It reminded Vexor of old mining rigs, built to survive, not to impress. Then the ship moved. Not fast, not flashy. Just a slow, deliberate turn like a predator waking up. Blue-white lights snapped on along its hull, dozens of them, cold and steady. The scouts slowed instinctively. One pilot's voice crackled over the comm. Captain, it's looking at us. Vexor frowned. What do you mean, looking? It's scanning back, full spectrum. I can feel it digging into our systems. Our shields are flickering. Wait, no, our firewalls are burning. The second pilot screamed. Active countermeasures. It's tearing through our encryption like paper. I'm getting locked out of my own controls. The third scout tried to reverse thrust. Too late. A thin beam, barely visible, lanced out from the unknown ship. It did not explode the scout. It simply passed through, clean, precise. The scout's engine section vanished in a silent puff of vaporized metal. The rest tumbled slowly, dead. On the Dominator bridge, silence fell like ice. Zara stepped forward again. Her voice was low. That was not a plasma lance, that was kinetic. Solid projectile at relativistic speed. No energy signature until impact. No warning, no mercy. Vexor's mouth felt dry. What kind of race builds weapons like that? Zara met his eyes. The kind that does not waste time showing off. The kind that kills first and asks questions never. Vexor looked back at the main screen. The unknown ship had stopped turning. It faced the fleet now, bow on. Every light on its hull seemed to pulse once, slow, calm, almost mocking. A junior officer whispered the word everyone was thinking, but no one wanted to say aloud. Human. Vexor laughed once, short, sharp, angry. Humans, the soft-skins who still use chemical rockets, who cry over one dead colony? No way that's a human warship. But even as he said it, his tail twitched. The doubt had grown teeth. The ship out there did not fire again, it did not need to. It had already won the first move, and the entire Xarath fleet felt it. Inside the heavy steel heart of the Indomitable, Captain Elena Reyes stood with her hands clasped behind her back. She was not tall, not loud, not decorated with medals that shouted for attention. Her uniform was plain gray, worn at the elbows from years of real work. Her dark hair was pulled back tight and faint scars crossed one cheek, gifts from fights no one else survived to tell about. At 32, she looked older. War had a way of carving time into faces. She watched the main tactical display without blinking. The Xarath fleet spread out like a net of black knives, 50 ships, big ones, small ones, all hungry, all confident. Elena's lips curved just a fraction, not a smile, more like a predator tasting the air. 3 of their scouts just got too close, her tactical officer reported. Lieutenant Chen, broad-shouldered and calm, tapped the console. We gave them the polite version, 1 down, 2 running home crying. A ripple of low chuckles moved through the bridge crew. They were not many, only 48 souls on a ship built for war, but every one of them had earned their place the hard way. Engineers who patched hulls while breathing vacuum. Gunners who could thread a rail slug through a needle at 10,000 kilometers. Medics who stitched people back together after plasma burns. They trusted Elena because she never wasted lives. She only spent them when the price was worth paying. Status on their flagship, she asked. Still scanning us, Chen answered. They ran the deep probe twice. I think they're arguing about what we are. Elena nodded once. Let them argue. She turned to the weapons chief. Warm up the forward batteries. No charge yet, just warm. Let them feel the hum through their own sensors. Aye, Captain. The deck plates under their feet gave the tiniest vibration. A promise. The Indomitable was old by human standards, refitted, rebuilt, patched 100 times, but every upgrade had been practical. Thicker armor, faster autoloaders, point defense grids that could swat missiles like flies, self-repair foam that hardened in seconds, and the spinal gun, the long, ugly cannon that ran almost the full length of the ship. It did not fire pretty beams. It fired metal at speeds that made physics flinch. Elena stepped closer to the viewport. The stars outside were cold and distant. The Xarath ships looked sharp and perfect, like toys made for show. Her ship looked like a hammer forged in hell. They think we're primitives, she said quietly, more to herself than anyone. They think we still fight with sticks and stones. She looked at her crew. Every eye met hers. Show them we graduated. A soft chorus of yes, ma'am answered back. Outside, the Indomitable finished its slow turn. All its cold blue lights flared once, bright, steady, final. The message was simple. Your move. The bridge of the Dominator turned into a storm of flashing red lights and rising voices. Captain Vexer stood frozen for 1 heartbeat, watching the replay of the scout's destruction. The tiny ship had simply vanished in a clean hole. No fire, no explosion, just gone. Like it had been erased. He slammed a fist on the console. Quiet, all stations report. Voices overlapped in panic. Shields at 70% on the forward screen. Something is interfering. Energy signature from the target ship just spiked. Massive power draw. Multiple small objects launching from their hull. Drones, sir. Fast-moving, no visible engines. Vexer spun toward the main tactical hologram. The red dot had become a detailed wireframe. Layers peeled back in real time as their scanners fought to keep up. Under the thick armor plating, honeycomb structures filled with unknown fluids. Spinning cylinders that might be reactors. Rows of tubes that pulsed like living veins. And the weapons, gods, the weapons. Long barrels that ran parallel to the spine. Shorter clusters that tracked every Xarath ship in perfect unison. Point defense nodes that blinked like cold eyes. Zara's voice cut through the noise, sharp and steady. They are not charging weapons yet. They are showing us. This is a warning display, Vexer snarled. Then let us answer it. He straightened, forcing calm into his tone. Form the hammerhead formation. Cruisers forward, destroyers on flanks, frigates screen the rear. We outnumber them 50-1. One ship, however ugly, cannot stand against the full might of the Empire. The fleet obeyed. Engines flared green. Ship slid into position with practiced grace. The Dominator moved to the center, its main batteries humming to life. Vexer felt the old confidence return. Numbers mattered, always, but then the human ship moved again. Not a sprint, not a flashy dodge, just a slow, heavy acceleration that ate distance like hunger. The tactical officer's voice cracked. Sir, their engines are at full burn now. Velocity increasing. They are not running away. They are coming straight at us. Vexer stared. The wireframe hologram showed the Indomitable's course. A perfect line toward the heart of the Xarath formation. No weaving, no tricks. Just straight, unstoppable. Impossible, he whispered again. But the word tasted like ash. A junior sensor tech turned pale. Captain, their armor. The outer plates are shifting, self-adjusting angles. They are presenting the thickest sections toward us, like they already know our firing arcs. Zara looked at Vexer. They studied us during the scans. They know our patterns. The bridge fell quiet except for the soft beeping of alarms. Every eye locked on the approaching human warship. It grew larger on every screen. Lights cold, guns dark, but ready. Vexor's tail lashed once. All ships, prepare to fire on my mark. His voice sounded smaller than he wanted it to. Outside, the Indomitable kept coming, silent, steady, terrifying. The void between the fleet suddenly came alive with light and death. Captain Vexor opened his mouth to give the final order. Before the word left his lips, the Indomitable fired. Not a grand volley, not a storm of beams, just one single shot. A dull silver streak, barely visible, lanced from the human ship's spinal cannon. It crossed the distance in less than a second. The lead Xarath scout ship, still limping back from its earlier brush, simply ceased to exist. No fireball, no debris cloud. Just a perfect circle of nothing where the ship had been. The rail slug had punched clean through at a velocity that turned metal into plasma in an instant. Silence gripped the Dominator bridge for 2 full seconds. Then chaos erupted. "Open fire, all batteries!" Vexor roared. Green plasma lances, searing ion bolts, and shimmering missile swarms launched from 50 Xarath ships. A beautiful, deadly wall of light raced toward the lone human vessel. The Indomitable did not dodge. It did not raise glowing shields. It simply moved. Slow, heavy, deliberate. Armor plates shifted like thick scales, angling to meet the incoming fire. Most of the plasma splashed harmlessly against ablative layers that boiled away in controlled bursts. Missiles detonated against point defense lasers that flickered like cold blue fireflies, each one precise, each one perfect. Only a few hits landed. Scorches appeared on the hull, black and smoking, and then the human ship answered. Small hatches snapped open along its flanks. Dozens of fist-sized drones poured out, black, angular, silent. They moved like a swarm of angry insects. No fancy maneuvers, no glowing trails, just straight-line suicide runs. They slammed into Xarath fighters at full speed. Each impact released a shaped charge that punched through armor like a hot knife through fat. Fighters bloomed into brief, bright flowers of fire. Vexor watched in disbelief as his screen filled with loss markers. "Recall the fighters, pull them back." Too late. The drones were already among the cruisers. One attached itself to the engine nacelle of a destroyer. A second later, the entire rear third of the ship vanished in a clean, surgical detonation. The rest spun slowly, helpless. Zara's voice was tight. "They are not wasting ammunition, Captain. Every shot is calculated. Every drone is a scalpel." The Indomitable kept advancing. No cheers came from its direction, no battle cries, just cold mechanical efficiency. Vexor's claws dug into his palms. "Target their main gun. Concentrate fire." The fleet obeyed. A second wave of energy slammed into the human ship. Armor peeled in places. Sparks flew. But the spinal cannon stayed dark, waiting. Then it spoke again. Another single slug, another Xarath cruiser erased from existence. The message was clear. They were not fighting a battle. They were performing an execution, and the Xarath were learning the price of doubt the hard way. Captain Vexor's yellow eyes stayed locked on the tactical hologram. The once perfect Xarath formation had begun to unravel. Gaps appeared where cruisers used to stand shoulder to shoulder. Burning hulks drifted slowly, trailing sparks and frozen gas. Loss markers blinked red across the display. 7 ships, gone in under 2 minutes. 7 against 1. The Indomitable carved forward like a blade through soft flesh. It did not zigzag or dance. It simply refused to die. Every time a Xarath beam or missile struck true, the human ship's hull responded in seconds. Black craters appeared, then bubbled. Liquid metal flowed like blood over wounds, hardening into fresh armor plates. Nanites, the scanners finally confirmed. Billions of microscopic machines repairing damage faster than the Xarath could inflict it. "Impossible," Vexor hissed again. The word had lost its strength. It sounded tired now. A heavy cruiser, the Vindicator, tried to flank the human ship. It poured sustained plasma fire into the Indomitable's port side. For a moment, the human vessel listed, armor glowing cherry red. Then its own guns answered. Not the spinal cannon this time. Smaller turrets along the flank swiveled with mechanical precision. They spat streams of hypersonic slugs. Rapid, accurate, merciless. The Vindicator's shield flickered once, twice, then collapsed. The next burst tore through the bridge module. The cruiser's lights died in sequence, section by section, until only the emergency beacon pulsed weakly. Zara stood beside Vexer, her voice low and cold. "They are not trying to win quickly, Captain. They are teaching us. Every destroyed ship is a lesson." Vexer's claws scraped the command rail. "Then we learn fast. All ships concentrate fire on their engines. Cripple them. Force them to stop." The order went out. The remaining fleet shifted, focusing beams and torpedoes on the Indomitable's massive drive cones. Energy washed over the rear hull in waves. Armor sloughed off in molten sheets. For the first time, the human ship slowed just a fraction. Hope flickered on the Xarath bridge. Then the Indomitable rotated. Not a full turn. Just enough. Its armored flank presented to the fleet again, thickest plates forward. The damaged engines flared once, bright, angry, and the ship accelerated harder than before. The drive cones glowed white-hot, pushing the massive hull forward through sheer brute force. "They are accelerating," the sensor officer whispered. "On damaged engines, how?" Vexer felt the cold realization settle deep in his chest. The humans had built redundancy into everything. Backup systems, triple layers. They expected to take punishment. They planned for it. They thrived on it. Another drone swarm launched from the Indomitable. This time they did not target fighters. They went for the command ships. Small dark shapes streaked through the void, dodging fire, closing fast. Vexer's tail stopped moving. He understood now. This was not a battle. This was a hunt. And the Xarath were the prey? The Dominator bridge had become a graveyard of flickering screens and broken hope. Smoke drifted from overloaded consoles. Officers stood frozen, tails limp, eyes wide. Half the fleet was gone, either burning husks or fleeing shadows, jumping to hyperspace in blind panic. The remaining ships clustered tight around the flagship like frightened children hiding behind their mother. Then every screen on every Xarath vessel lit up at once. No warning, no static. Just a clean, sharp connection that bypassed all their encryption like it was never there. A human face appeared, centered, calm, unblinking. Captain Elena Reyes looked directly into the lens. Her expression held no anger, no triumph, only quiet certainty. Behind her, the Indomitable's bridge crew worked in silence, faces lit by the soft glow of tactical displays. No shouting, no celebration, just the steady rhythm of professionals doing their job. She spoke slowly, clearly in trade standard, the language every spacefaring race understood. "You scanned us twice." Her voice carried no emotion, yet it filled every speaker on every ship. "You doubted what you saw, you sent scouts, you opened fire, you still do not understand." She paused. The silence stretched heavy and cold. "This is human space now. Not because we claimed it with words, because we can hold it, because we choose to defend it." Elena leaned forward slightly. Her scarred cheek caught the light. "Leave. Take your survivors. Tell your empire the truth. One human warship broke your line. One. And we did not even need to hurry." She did not smile. She did not threaten. She simply stated facts. "Next time you see a human ship, any human ship, remember this moment. Remember the scans. Remember the silence before the first shot. Remember how fast doubt turns to ash." The image held for 3 more seconds, long enough for every Xarath officer to burn her face into memory. Then it vanished. Instantly, comms exploded with overlapping voices. "Captain, multiple ships jumping out." "They're running, sir." Vengeance and Iron Fang just went dark, destroyed. Vexer stared at the empty screen where the human captain had been. His claws trembled, not from fear alone, from something deeper, shame, realization, the crushing weight of being wrong on a scale that would echo through the Empire for generations. He opened the fleet-wide channel. His voice cracked once, then steadied. "All surviving vessels, full retreat, immediate jump, do not engage, do not look back." He closed the channel. Outside, the Indomitable hung motionless now. No pursuit, no final volley, just watching, letting them run. Because the lesson was already taught, and humans never needed a shout when silence cut deeper. The void tasted of scorched metal and fear. Xarath ships scattered like broken glass across the black. Engines flared in desperate bursts as they clawed for jump distance. Some captains ordered full burn without calculating vectors, risking core overload just to put one more light second between them and the monster behind. The Indomitable did not rush, it did not need to. Captain Elena Reyes watched the tactical display with the calm of someone reading an old familiar book. Red contacts blinked and vanished as ships made the jump to hyperspace. Others, too damaged, too slow, could not. They hung in space like wounded animals waiting for the end. "Pursuit course, steady 1/3 acceleration," she ordered. "Stay on their tails, no need to close the gap, let them feel us." The human warship glided forward, engines humming low and steady. No wild chase, no flashy maneuvers, just relentless pressure. Every time a Xarath straggler tried to turn and fight, a single rail slug answered. Clean, precise, final. No waste, no anger, just math. On the Dominator. Captain Vexor gripped the command rail until his knuckles turned white. His fleet was down to 11 ships. The proud hammerhead formation had collapsed into a ragged line of survivors. He opened a private channel to his remaining captains. "Jump now, do not wait for orders, scatter vectors, make them chase ghosts." He cut the link before anyone could reply. Then he looked at Zara. Her face was pale, but her eyes were steady. "They are not killing everything," she said quietly. "They are choosing who lives." Vexor understood. The humans could have ended it in minutes, instead they let most escape. Survivors would carry the story. Fear would spread faster than any battle report. A final transmission came through. Same calm female voice, same unhurried tone. "This is Captain Reyes of the Indomitable. You are leaving human-controlled space. You will not return. If your empire sends another fleet, we will meet it the same way. Tell them the void remembers." The message ended. No threats, no insults, just a door closing. Vexor gave the jump order. The Dominator's engine screamed as space-time folded around it. The last thing he saw on the rear sensors was the human warship. Lights dimmed, motionless, watching them go. No final shot, no victory salute. Just silence. The Indomitable turned slowly, bow pointing back toward the empty stretch of stars it had claimed. Drones returned to their bays. Repair nanites finished their quiet work. The crew exhaled for the first time in hours. Elena looked at her tactical officer. "Casualties?" "None, ma'am. Minor hull stress on decks 7 and 12, already patching." She nodded once. "Good, helm, set course for home. We've said what needed saying." Outside, the stars watched in silence. One lone human warship had turned back an empire, and the galaxy had taken notice. Weeks passed, then months. The stars stayed quiet, but the story refused to die. In the shadowed halls of the Xarath Empire's capital, survivors gathered in low voices. Captain Vexor had returned, alive, but changed. He no longer walked with the proud stride of a conqueror. His tail hung low. His yellow eyes avoided bright light. Officers who had once saluted him sharply now looked away when he passed. The Empire did not execute him. They did not need to. Shame was punishment enough. Whispers spread faster than official reports. In dim cantinas on border worlds, in encrypted channels between traders, in the private quarters of nobles, always the same tale. One human ship, one captain, 50 warships broken like dry twigs. They called her the Silent Hammer. They spoke her name, Elena Reyes, with the careful tone people use for things that bite. They described the ship, ugly, thick, patched, unstoppable. They remembered the scans that lied, the doubt that cost lives, the message that arrived without warning and left without mercy. Other races heard the story too. The Krill paused their raids. The Vorn canceled border probes. Even the ancient, slow-moving machine collectives recalculated threat assessments. A single phrase began to appear in navigation logs, warning beacons, and diplomatic notes. Human space ahead. Proceed with extreme caution. On Earth, the Indomitable docked quietly. No parades, no crowds. Captain Reyes stepped onto the repair bay deck, nodded to the waiting engineers, and walked past the news drones without a word. Her crew followed. Tired, bruised, proud. They knew what they had done. They also knew the galaxy would twist the tale into myth soon enough. And it did. Children on distant colonies grew up hearing bedtime stories of the lone warship that made an empire run. Traders added the name Indomitable to their good luck charms. Pirates marked certain sectors red on their maps and simply refused to go there. In alien academies, professors argued over the footage, some calling it impossible, others calling it the beginning of something new. Vexer never spoke publicly again. But late at night, in his private quarters, he sat alone with a single hollow recording. The moment the human ship turned to face them, the cold blue lights, the slow, certain advance. He played it again and again, searching for the mistake he had missed. He never found it, because there had been no mistake. Only truth. Humans were not weak, they were patient. They were stubborn. They were forged in gravity and fire and loss. And once they decided to stand in your way, no empire, however vast, could simply walk past. The void remembered, and now so did the galaxy,